Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers and Facebookians. This is the final video for the night called RPGs, about where they're headed. Now, RPGs in the old ways was DOS, where you typed a word like I fart, and the game will say something like, it was like Leisure Suit Larry. It was like an RPG too. Got to go get the remote control for the fat guy, so you can the pimp guy, so you can get sex, for example. But the main thing is when RPGs picked up, it was more likely Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Ys type thing. But Ys wasn't really a RPG so much. It was more like an action adventure where you walk up to an enemy and you run into it and the sword goes. Whereas an RPG game, the way I saw it, was taught, was more of a game where, as you can see, the Moppy's trying to bother me in the video here. See, there's this thing. He's in the video. Yes, I get it, Moppy. So, Moppy's playing the RPG game called Moppy Wants Attention. And then he'll grump because he can grump. Now he's licking my arm because he wants something. So, the bottom line is simple. Simple goes like this when it comes to the RPG genre. Back then, people said 1987, I believe it was, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, aka Warrior, was the bomb. Oh, well, how is it? Well, you go around in dungeons, basically, on an overworld map, and you find dungeons. You got a cave or a temple. You go and it goes into an overview of your little sprites walking around. Instead of being 3D like this, and this, where you can see yourself walking like 3D. It was 2D basically. You had an overview, like this was the plane, and your character was walking like this on the floor. It wasn't 3D where you flip over there and you see Aaron playing the game. No. It's more like overview of everything by going top view. And then you get into your battles, and you got the enemy sitting there, do, and you got your character, and it says, fight, run, item, or magic. You choose item for one, magic for another, fight, attack for another, pretty much. And then the enemy goes in your sword. Now, Final Fantasy 1, sometimes the enemy died, and it says, this character missed the enemy. Well, the enemy died. Well, they fixed that in Final Fantasy, I believe, 4, aka 2, US. Where target the next one, and you got the battle music, and then you got 5 and 6 is the same. 7 was 2D as well, 2D/3D, 3D in some aspects, 2Ds for others, but it had 3D graphics and it was 2D game. Same goes with 8 and 9. Eventually they were developing it for 3D, but most of the RPGs were overhead views of the top part where you get into a battle and it's like, you're fighting your enemies. Nowadays, RPGs are slowly dying out. You got your action-adventure RPG, basically, crossover, like Elder Scrolls. For example, or the one that he always likes. I can't remember the name of it now. That's an action game, not an RPG.
It's an RPG. You level up and everything.
It's still not the way I classify it. Now, you can classify it all you want. I'm thinking of the game with the thing about the chicken chaser.
Oh, Fable.
Yes, Fable, for example. Those games are an action-adventure RPG game. Now, you can classify Dot Hack as more of an RPG action game. Look at Zelda. Zelda is an action RPG where you go up and you gotta save the princess, but you have to do things like climb in the boat, and the talking boat, and like Wind Waker, to the train, to walking around. Link has acquired the sword. and going around, Link just bought bombs, or Link just bought whatever, and it's just, that's an action-adventure game, basically, and, or action RPG, I should say. Adventure RPG, they're out there, that's like a crossover with, like, Oblivion, Morrowind, and Skyrim, to be exact. Final Fantasy is slowly dying off. I know they just got 14 for online only, with nothing in the works for 15. Look at card-based RPGs like some of the Tales games, Tales of Symphonia, or for example, Kingdom Hearts. Then you got your RPG strategy games, Fire Emblem, Disgaea, to name a few. Love it or hate it, as some of them say. Final Fantasy Tactics, RPG strategy. So they're making crossovers to make the RPG more interesting. So, where does it stand in the future? Well, stands in the future is simple. It's a deck of cards. No one knows where the deck's going to stack. Maybe you'll get 21. Maybe you won't. The bottom line is it's a gamble to play. But before I go, let me talk to you about a few classic RPGs. No longer around. Final Fantasy, the name's still around. Dragon Quest is around. They got 10 coming out for the Wii. Apparently a lot of people are complaining about the Wiimote. Portable game systems are still getting off and popular. PSP Vita, PSP, DS, 3DS, etc. Well, what's the big deal, Rita? Big deal is simple. With RPGs, favorite genres like Breath of Fire, Capcom said the series is dead. They're not making it. Lufia was bought up. Taito made it. Lufia, aka Estipolis, gone. Why? Well, Square Enix owns it now. They remade Estipolis 2, called it Lufia, a new Lufia game. Action adventure, people hated it. What happened? The game series died. A sudden death, unless they could revitalize it and make it the RPGs that people like in the past. What happens to the future? Secret of Mana games, aka Seiken Densetsu, same thing. They're action adventure or adventure RPGs. Well, that series is pretty much dead. So, unless you have a great RPG idea, most of them aren't going to take off. Someone else said something. Oh, right, my assistant. He said, and I agree, a lot of people back then could spend hours upon hours in the 90s and early century, pretty much, as I call it, level crunching with no problem. Nowadays, they want a game that they can get done fast. They don't want 60, 80, 100, 200, 300, 500 hours to complete a game. They want to get it done and be like, I'm done, I beat it, that's cool. Next game. Or some people, they'll spend half the year playing it. And some people, they'll stop for a while and go back to the game. And stop again and go back to it. So, RPGs, they're slowly dying. Eventually, no one's going to want to take the time to play them. Look at Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8. Great games. No one will remember them. Those were great RPG dungeon crawlers. With that said, just think about it. RPGs, unless you have the time for them like me, the game genre is dead. They're going to make action, adventure, RPGs. Combine it together like Oblivion, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls. So with that said, please add and subscribe if you like. Please post comments if you like. And please add me as a friend if you like. Thank you and have a nice day.